Hello, everyone, and welcome to KTAL News Now. I'm your host, Anthony Mocklin, and today is Monday, which means it is weekend recap here on KTAL News Now. And we'll be recapping some of the biggest events that happened this weekend, as well as community events, things you can look forward to this week, and a look ahead to some NFL games. And one of the biggest events this weekend was the unfortunate passing of 25-year-old Officer Mark Brock with the Vivian Police Department. If you were following on our late night coverage on Friday night, you'll know that we were giving updates as quickly and often as possible, but unfortunately, he did pass away because of a gunshot wound. And the recap of it is basically that the Vivian Police Department was serving a warrant in Vivian, and the suspect, who has now been apprehended and is in custody, exchanged gunfire with police officers and then proceeded to barricade himself inside of his home. It was originally perceived to be a hostage situation, but after investigation through police officers and after they investigated the house, they found that no other person was at the house at the time of his arrest. And, our thoughts and prayers go out to Mark Brock and his family. And it is just such a tragic loss of life, gone way, way too soon. He was just 25 years old, and we are grieving along with the Vivian community. And KTAL's Taylor Smith got to speak with his loved ones to hear how they are grieving as well and how they can move forward.
As the Vivian community comes together to honor fallen officer Mark Brock, many say they are struggling to understand how someone so full of life could be taken so soon. Because to this community, Brock wasn't just an officer. He was a beloved mentor, coach, and friend. He spent much of his free time coaching children's baseball and football, leaving a lasting impact for those who knew him to cherish forever.
Mark loved coaching. He loved being a part of our organization. He loved the players, the children, and loved this community.
They say Brock was a true example of great leadership, kindness, and compassion. They also say he greeted everyone with a smile no matter what he was facing. And while the grief of losing him is still heavy, loved ones say his spirit is far from gone.
He's the guy that made positive relationships with our kids. The kids love him. He was working long shifts at the police department and then coming to practice.
Brock's fiance, who wished not to be shown on camera at this time, says he lived every day with courage, always putting others before himself. She says protecting his community wasn't just his job, it was who he was.
That's Mark. He's gonna protect them. It don't matter what it is, but he's gonna protect them.
Now his family is left searching for answers, but leaning on faith as they grieve.
It's very hard on me. It's very hard on the family. I don't know exactly what to do. I'm lost. I'm hurt. But I know that he's in a better place and that he's waiting on me.
Taylor Smith, NBC6 News.
And I just wanted to say again that on behalf of everyone here at KTAL, our thoughts and prayers are with his family and the Vivian community for them to hopefully overcome this and keep moving forward. But in recent news with The Voice, local star Max Chambers is competing on tonight's episode of The Voice. Now, while we don't know the outcome of the episode, we did get a chance to speak with him to hear about how it's been being on The Voice and his journey as a singer.
I was raised in the church, so that was definitely my foundation for, learning that I wanted to sing. And so in 2023, I won a local talent show called Artbreak's Got Talent. And that opened up the opportunity for me to audition for America's Got Talent and The Voice. But I ended up going to Broadway. So the audition came later after Broadway.
And on that Broadway, you were young Michael Jackson in MJ the Musical. Could you kind of talk about your time doing that and how it has helped you through your career?
Definitely. Being able to perform in front of people most nights, like 4 nights a week, that definitely laid a foundation for The Voice. So being able to perform on that stage definitely prepared me for the Voice stage.
And you talked about Art Break, and you won Best in Show as well as the People's Choice Award at that. And that was actually a KTAL sponsored event that we put on that year. So that was really awesome to see how you've grown since then. And obviously, you're on the national stage now. So, how has that journey been since then?
It's been great. It's been great because um it's been great.
And on The Voice, your coach Michael Bublé, he has been on record saying that you should be the front runner right now, and that you could be the youngest ever winner of The Voice. I guess, how does that make you feel hearing that from him?
It definitely makes me excited that someone of his level of artistry like thinks that I'm capable of winning The Voice. That's like super huge.
And he ended up using the first ever mic drop this season on you. And that, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's brand new to The Voice, and it's used whenever there's an absolutely incredible, undeniable performance. So I guess, how important was that to you that he ended up using that on you?
As you can see on the show, when Mr. Buble pressed his mic drop button, I was like super excited because I had put all my practice and my work into this performance, and I really just went out there and I did what I had practiced. But that was like a whole turn when after well, plus winning the knockout and plus the mic drop, that was just I was totally in shock.
And with the mic drop, there are four across the judges that end up competing later on in the show, with the winner heading to perform at the Rose Parade on January 1st. I guess, what would that mean to you if you did end up winning and getting to compete at that level?
I've never performed at anything as big as the Rose Parade, so I feel like this would be a great opportunity to for people to know me and to get my name out there.
And aside from Coach Buble, do you have any other inspirations in your life, musically or otherwise?
Um, I have a lot of musical inspirations, but my family, my dad and my mom, they sing, my grandma's quartet, as mentioned, they sing. So, and a lot of different artists as well.
And how has the support from your family been throughout this journey?
The support from my family has been indescribable. I mean, they support me. They go out here to New York with me when I went on Broadway. Like without them, I couldn't get where I needed to go because after all, I'm 14 years old. I mean, I can't fly to California by myself. So
And you are a Shreveport native, and the community has rallied behind you. Do you have I guess, a message to those who have supported you throughout your entire journey?
definitely thank all the people that have supported me throughout my journey. And I'm going to keep giving my best.
And don't forget to catch Max on tonight's episode of The Voice on NBC or Peacock, wherever you watch your shows. And we're all rooting for him here at the station, and especially when he was part of a contest that KTAL helped put on, like I said in the interview. And it's really awesome to see how much he has grown since then, and the level of success he is reaching and is capable of getting to. So we wish him nothing but the best moving forward. Good luck tonight, Max. But looking ahead to the NFL, particularly with a full slate of games yesterday with Sunday, the one that I would take away the most from that would gave us huge amounts of entertainment was when the Buffalo Bills went to Tampa Bay, and they ended up winning this game 44-32 in a riveting game that had 9 lead changes. And fun fact, 44-32, that final score is a scoregami. meaning it's never happened before in NFL history, and we'll get more into that a little later on. But like I said, there was 9 lead changes in this game, lots of back and forth going on, and that was largely thanks to quarterback Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills, where he had 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. And for those of you who might be saying, "Oh, has that ever been done before?" Yes, it has, by Josh Allen last year. He is the first NFL player to have 2 such games, and last year he did so against the Los Angeles Rams. And, he continues to amaze people. He won the MVP last year, although it was pretty highly contested versus Lamar Jackson. But, there's a lot of debate that can go either way on that one. But he also did have 2 interceptions in this game, including one early on that did help Tampa Bay set up inside the red zone for another score. And for Buffalo, wide receivers Gabe Davis and Mecole Hardman were both made their season debuts yesterday. And Mecole Hardman was traded from Kansas City, and Gabe Davis was sitting out most of the year with an injury, so I was glad to see them back, obviously. But for Tampa Bay, quarterback Baker Mayfield had a very uncharacteristic game for his standards, as if you're judging off of this season and a little bit of last season, where he completed just 16 of 28 passes for 173 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And this is the 3rd lowest passing yardage total of Baker's season so far. But this was largely due to their ground game really working for them. They racked up over 200 rushing yards as a team, and that was spearheaded by running back Sean Tucker, who ran for 106 of those yards and 2 touchdowns. And his 2 touchdowns were both on large breakaway runs where he ran for a 43-yard touchdown and a 28-yard touchdown. So he really was able to break the game wide open for Tampa Bay on the ground. And moving forward for Tampa Bay, they did unfortunately fall to 6-4 on the season, whereas Buffalo improved to 7-3 as they continue to race against the Patriots for the AFC East title. But Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they are still in first in the NFC South, but they are only a half a game ahead of the Carolina Panthers, who just took down the Atlanta Falcons. So it's really a 2-horse race now in the NFC South for that division title. I think Tampa Bay still comes out on top in the division, but they really got to hone in the last few games of the season to make sure that is a reality. But it doesn't get any easier for them, really, because their next game up is against the Los Angeles Rams, who are second place in the NFC as a whole and first in the NFC West division. So very, very tough matchup for them. I think the Rams do win that game. They are absolutely rolling right now. They are 8-2, and I don't see them stopping against Tampa Bay. So we'll see if Tampa can bounce back from that if they do end up losing that game, which I do expect them to, unfortunately. If you're a Tampa Bay fan, the Rams have just looked good all season, and I don't think they're going to stop now. But going back to the scoregami, the final score of this game, 44-32, it is the 4th scoregami that has happened this season and the 1,095th ever scoregami in NFL history. Now, you might be thinking that's a lot, but if you base the numbers off the scoregami chart that was created by John Bois, who worked for SB Nation, he's the one that coined the term and created the idea of the concept. And it really doesn't mean a whole lot to the average fan. People might not know what exactly it is, and that's the beauty of it. It's the most trivial thing probably imaginable, but it is so much fun to keep up with and just know that, this is the most unique thing because it's never happened before. And 44-32 is the first instance of that final score being recorded in any NFL game across its entire history. And if you look at the chart, there are still around 1,400 unscored scoregamis, as in scores that have never happened, and most of which will probably never happen. So it's good to have that longevity aspect of it, knowing that we'll always have something like this to root for. I've seen people on Twitter and social media having framed pictures that say, like, in this house, we root for scoregami. And just there's almost like a cult following when it comes to this and tracking how exactly we got to this final score. And in this case, with the Buffalo Bills game, it took 3 failed 2-point conversions in order to achieve this score. So well done, guys, for not putting it in the end zone for the 2-point conversion here. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And 2 of those were from Tampa Bay. They started going for 2 very early on in the second half in the third quarter. So if any of those attempts would have succeeded, we would have not gotten a scoregami. So it took all the right cards and everything being perfectly aligned within the universe. The football gods looked fondly on us that day. But it was very exciting to keep up with. But if you're a Cowboys fan, they do end up playing tonight, and they go to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Now, unfortunately, this will be their first game without defensive end Marshawn Kneeland, who one of their teammates, he unfortunately passed away from an apparent suicide back on November 6th. And this was a result of a police chase crash where he ended up running from the scene. We don't know a whole lot more than that, but it is very, very sad to hear that from a very young NFL player. He was only 24 years old, and quarterback Dak Prescott for the Cowboys said the entire organization is hurting.
As you said, it started early this morning, finding out the news. Tragic loss. I hurt heavy heart today. I heard for Marshawn. I heard for his family. I heard for his girlfriend. I heard for every single one of my teammates. This is a pain that you don't wish upon anybody. You wish none of us had to go through this. You wish Marshawn didn't have to go through what he went through. And just thankful for each moment we have in this life, and don't take it for granted. And hug and love on those that you do.
And our thoughts and prayers here at the station are with Marshawn Kneeland and the Cowboys organization, his family, everyone involved, all of his loved ones. We reach out our condolences to anyone affected by him and who knew him. But, the Dallas Cowboys, they said that they're still going to go out there and put their best foot forward. They did just come off of a bye week, so they did have a lot more time to process the loss and grieve it. So, and they will also announce that they will be putting a helmet decal for the rest of the season to honor Kneeland. And they will also be practicing in warm-ups wearing a special t-shirt to honor him tonight against the Raiders. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they honor him, and I know that they will do him all the justice in the world. And for Dallas, they are coming off of a huge trade deadline where they were bolstering their defense up. The acquisitions include defensive tackle Quinnen Williams for the New York Jets, as well as linebacker Logan Wilson from the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is a team that has struggled all year defensively, ranking near the bottom in pretty much every defensive metric. They've given up so many points and so many yards to so many teams, and they're just trying to do what they can in light of the Micah Parsons trade, who was traded right before the season began in a stunning move from Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, GM, CEO. And this was a franchise player for them. It was a very confusing trade at the time, and it's very evident that they miss him dearly when it comes to defense. And they are 3-5-1 on the season, and they will probably not make the playoffs again for the second consecutive year. And it's unclear what their long-term plan is moving forward and trying to be a contender and returning to their glory. But it's apparent now that that is not going to be the case, at least for the foreseeable future. But they need a win in more ways than one, not just for tonight, but just for in honor of Marshawn Kneeland, to help them go through this process and grieve and just help the morale of the team in light of this loss. But that is all I have today for Weekend Recap. You can find more local breaking and trending stories on our website at ktalnews.com, which is also where we stream this show, KTAL News Now, every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. You can watch previous editions of KTAL News Now on our YouTube at KTAL News, But for now, I'm Anthony Mocklin. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay blessed, and thank you for joining us.